Welcome back to another lesson with Miss Hines. Today, what are we learning about? Can you guess? Look closely at that picture and the words. It's normally up on our daily schedule. You're right. We are going to be doing a science lesson today. Now, before we get started, I would like you to make sure you have a couple of things, so pay attention. Make sure you have markers, a pencil, glue, some cotton wool. It doesn't have to be the cotton wool balls, it could just be the strips, that's fine. And make sure you have your workbook because we are going to be using the first page in our workbook. And the first page is painted in what color? Blue. So make sure you have all of those things before you get started. Now, let's do a little review. In science, we learned about quite a few things. We looked at the different types of weather. Then we moved on to the first life cycle. And the first life cycle we learned about is the life cycle of the butterfly. And we know that in stage 1, the female butterfly lays her eggs. Stage 2, the caterpillar hatches out. Stage 3, the caterpillar grows and grows. He gets bigger and bigger because he's eating all of those juicy green leaves. Then we get to stage 4, where it goes into the cocoon and it stays there. And then stage 5, after 2 weeks, a butterfly comes out of the cocoon and the cycle starts all over again, where that butterfly goes and lays more eggs and the eggs hatch and it turns into caterpillars, and the caterpillars get bigger and bigger, and then they go into their cocoon. So we've learned about the life cycle of the butterfly. Last term, and the science unit that we just finished was, yeah, you're right, the life cycle of a plant. And we know that in stage 1, seeds can either be planted by people or the wind can blow it all over the place. Then we know in stage 2, the roots start to grow and the stem starts to grow up out of the soil. Stage 3, the roots are getting deeper and deeper into that soil to anchor that plant in place. And we have some, what did we say these are? After the roots and the stems start to grow, the leaves. Great job. Stage 4, we have little buds or little leaves growing, and then we have a, what's this one? Flower. Good job. And in stage 5, the plant or the flower starts to dry up and it starts to die. And then these little things in the middle, the seeds, they get blown by the wind or they get collected by people and they get planted in the soil, and the cycle starts all over again. Now, those were 2 things that we learned about that have life cycle. Do you think you can guess what kind of animal or thing might we be learning about next? Think about it for a minute. If you need to, you can pause the video. Think. I'll give you a clue. The next life cycle that we are going to be learning about croaks. Ribbit. Can you guess what it is? If you guessed life cycle of a frog, you are right. Now, at this point, I want you to pause my video and I want you to go in the description below, click on the link, and I only want you to watch that video until it gets to 1 minute and 20 seconds, and then stop. So press play on that video, let it play until it gets to 1 minute and 20 seconds, and then stop. Come back to me and we will talk about the first stage in the life cycle of a frog. Alright, that video was really interesting. So we've learned so far that frogs live in a place called a pond. And we know that female frogs, or the mummy frog, is who lays all of those hundreds of thousands of eggs, and they float on the surface of the water because they are covered in a jelly-like substance. However, we know that not all of the eggs manage to turn into frogs, because if it rains too much or if it's too windy, some of the eggs get damaged, which means they don't develop and grow into the next stage in the life cycle of a frog. We'll look at that next time we have our science lesson, but for today, we're going to be looking at stage 1, the eggs. All right, so I brought you in for a closer look at the chart that shows us the different stages in the life cycle of a frog. We are looking at stage 1. Can you find the number 1 for me on my chart? It's okay, you can point at the screen if you want to. Did you find it? Ah, nice job. Stage 1. So in stage 1, I'll read the words here for you. It says, a female frog can lay hundreds or thousands of eggs. Each egg is protected by a thick, clear jelly. So, remember we said earlier that this thick, clear jelly helps those eggs to stick together and they float on the water. So for today's lesson, we are going to be doing a craft activity. Let's go. Alrighty-o. So we need our workbook. Remember I said we needed it at the beginning of our video. So get your workbook out, make sure it's in front of you, and I want you to open your booklet to the very first page. Now your first page should be painted in, what color are my hands touching? Blue. Great job. Now today we are going to pretend that this is the water in the pond, and we are going to use the cotton wool that we have to pull apart, roll it into small pieces, and we're going to apply some glue and stick it on to make our eggs. So get your glue out, make sure it's opened. You don't have to put your eggs in the middle of your paper. You could put them to the side, you could put them in a corner, entirely up to you. But make sure you fill it in so that when we stick our eggs on, they're all together. All right, that's where my eggs are gonna go. So now I'm gonna get my cotton wool, and 2 fingers, I'm gonna pinch off a piece, put it in my palm, and then I'm gonna roll it into a little ball so it looks kind of like an egg. Then I'm gonna stick it on, and I'm gonna go again. Remember, put it in your palm, roll it, stick it on. See, it's starting to look like a cluster of eggs. Great job, guys. At this point, I want you to get your markers, and I want you to choose at least 2 colors to use. So we're gonna be creating some dots on our eggs. So I think I'm going to use this color, maybe some green, and some blue. And I want you to just take your marker and make a dot on your cotton wool. Ha! Go ahead, make some dots on that cotton wool. All right, let's use some of this reddish looking color. And then the last color that Miss Hines chose was green. So the rest of my eggs will have green dots on them. All right. So there we have it. We've created stage 1 in the life cycle of a frog are the eggs. And we know that they are covered in a clear, thick, jelly-like substance that allows them to stick together and float on top of the water in the pond. I wonder, what do you think the next stage is going to be? If you know, send me a message. I'll let you know if you got it right. Fantastic job today, guys. See you next time.